Introduction. Beyond the client relationship, while fiduciary duties focus on the agent's obligations to their client, Arizona law also requires agents to deal fairly with all parties in a transaction. This means that even though your primary duty is to your client, you cannot mislead, deceive, or take unfair advantage of the other side. In commercial real estate, where negotiations are often aggressive and highly strategic, this balance becomes critical. Agents must advocate for their client while still maintaining honesty and fairness. This obligation is clearly outlined in ACR 4-28-1101, which requires licensees to protect and promote the client's interests while dealing fairly with all other parties. What does dealing fairly mean in practice? Dealing fairly does not mean treating both parties equally. It means acting honestly and avoiding misrepresentation. Agents are not required to disclose confidential information about their client, but they are required to ensure that any information they do provide is accurate and not misleading. For example, if a commercial agent represents a seller, they are not obligated to disclose the seller's bottom-line price. However, they cannot provide false information about competing offers or misrepresent the property's condition. Fair dealing is about integrity and communication, not neutrality and representation. Misrepresentation and negligent misrepresentation, one of the most common violations of the duty to deal fairly, involves misrepresentation. This can be intentional or unintentional. Intentional misrepresentation, or fraud, occurs when an agent knowingly provides false information. Negligent misrepresentation occurs when an agent provides incorrect information without verifying its accuracy. Under the restatement, second, of Torts Section 552, professionals can be held liable for providing false information in the course of their business if others rely on it. In commercial real estate, this often involves financial data, property condition, zoning information, or permitted uses. Agents must take reasonable steps to verify information before sharing it. Case law and real-world application. Arizona case law reinforces the importance of fairness and honesty in real estate transactions. In Jennings v. Lee, 1969, the court emphasized that brokers have a duty to disclose material facts and act with integrity in their dealings. While this case primarily addresses fiduciary duties, it also highlights the broader expectation that agents must not mislead any party in a transaction. In commercial real estate, where parties often rely heavily on the agent's expertise, failure to act fairly can lead to significant legal consequences, including lawsuits and disciplinary action. Balancing advocacy and fairness. One of the most challenging aspects of commercial real estate is balancing strong client advocacy with the obligation to deal fairly. Agents are expected to negotiate aggressively on behalf of their client, but they must do so within the boundaries of the law. For example, an agent can present their client's offer in the most favorable light, but they cannot fabricate competing offers or conceal known material defects. This balance requires a high level of professionalism and judgment. Agents must constantly evaluate whether their actions are both effective for their client and compliant with legal and ethical standards. Disclosure to non-clients. What must be shared? While agents owe fiduciary duties to their client, they also have certain obligations to non-clients. This includes disclosing known material facts about the property that are not readily observable. For example, if a commercial property has a known environmental issue or a structural defect, the agent must disclose this information to potential buyers or tenants. Failure to do so can result in liability, even if the agent is representing the seller or landlord. This duty is closely tied to the principles established in Hill v. Jones, 1986, and reinforced by Arizona law and ADRE policy. Avoiding unfair practices in commercial transactions. Unfair practices in commercial real estate can take many forms, including withholding critical information, exaggerating property performance, or providing misleading financial projections. Agents must be particularly cautious when presenting pro forma income statements, cap rates, or investment projections. These figures must be based on accurate and verifiable data. Overstating potential income or failing to disclose risks can lead to claims of misrepresentation. In commercial transactions, where decisions are often based on financial analysis, accuracy is essential. Broker supervision and enforcement, the responsibility to ensure fair dealing extends to the designated broker. Under ACR 4-28-1103, brokers must supervise agents and ensure compliance with professional conduct standards. This includes reviewing marketing materials, transaction documents, and communications to ensure that agents are acting honestly and fairly. Brokerages should also provide training and clear policies to help agents understand their obligations. Strong supervision is a key component of risk management in commercial real estate. Bringing it all together, professional integrity and action, the duty to deal fairly with all parties, is a cornerstone of professional conduct in real estate. It ensures that transactions are conducted with honesty, transparency, and integrity. In commercial real estate, where transactions are complex and stakes are high, this duty becomes even more important. Agents who consistently act fairly not only reduce their legal risk, but also build a reputation for professionalism and trustworthiness. As we move into the next section, we will explore how these principles apply to disclosure requirements and the handling of material facts in commercial transactions. Online discussion: how can an agent advocate for their client while still dealing fairly with other parties? Answer: by negotiating strongly for their client while ensuring all information provided is truthful and not misleading. What is the difference between intentional and negligent misrepresentation? Answer: intentional misrepresentation involves knowingly providing false information, while negligent misrepresentation involves failing to verify information before sharing it. Why is accuracy especially important in commercial real estate transactions? Answer: because decisions are often based on financial data and projections, and inaccurate information can lead to significant financial loss and legal liability.